Hi, Gerry from Berean Nation. I was reading in my devotions today from Judges chapter 18. Judges chapter 18 verse 6. The priest answers a bunch of men who are there to ask him to inquire of the Lord about something. And he just sort of snaps off an answer. Yeah, you heard it. He just snaps off an answer. There we are. I'm going to start reading in verse 18. It says, in those days, chapter 18 and verse 1, in those days there was no king of Israel. And in those days the tribe of the Danites was seeking an inheritance for themselves to live in, for until that day an inheritance had not been allotted to them as a possession among the tribes of Israel. So the sons of Dan sent from their family 5 men out of the whole number, valiant men from Zorah and Eshtaol, to spy out the land to search it. And they said to them, go search the land. And they came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, and lodged there. When they were near the house of Micah, they recognized the voice of the young man the Levite. And they turned aside there, and they said to him, who brought you here? And what are you doing in this place? And what do you have here? He said to them, thus and so Micah has done to me, and he has hired me, and I have become his priest. And they said to him, inquire of God, please, that we may know whether our way on which we are going will be prosperous. The priest said to them, go in peace. Your way in which you are going has the Lord's approval. So, is it just me, or does it seem like this young Levite's answer, the priest, came just a bit quickly? It does not say here in the scripture that he inquired of the Lord and then said these things. So, I think, Dan's men asked him to inquire of the Lord. It doesn't say he did. He just answered. And it even sounded kind of pious. But was it right? Now, there are 2 issues to follow here. One of them is, were the men of Dan trying to do it right by inquiring by the Lord? And the second issue is, who bears the responsibility if it is not right? Well, I think the answers may be somewhat surprising, but listen, if you read the scriptures carefully, you tend to start recognizing what's what here. Here we are. In verse 4, well, in verse 3 they say, who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? In verse 4 he says to them, thus and so has Micah done to me, and he hired me, and I have become his priest. So right away, the men from Dan should have known this guy was not really a priest. So it says, well, inquire of God, please, so we can know, blah, blah, blah. So, were they trying to do this according to the Lord's prescribed way in the law, that is, the book of Deuteronomy? Well, the answer, quite frankly, is no, they weren't. And I think we can sort of translate that today into how sometimes we just get busy at our stuff, and we want our stuff to succeed, and yet, when we're in the middle of our stuff, we might have an afterthought to ask God to bless our mess. Just saying. So the second issue to track here is, who bears the responsibility if this wasn't the right way? Well, in my opinion, it's actually the priest. Okay? They asked him to inquire. He could have at least inquired rather than, snappy answers to pious questions, right? So it's the job of those who are in ministerial duty to seek the Lord on behalf of any who need it, whether they ask for it or not. Just saying. Okay? Now, that might mean, you might think, that means the one who is in ministerial duty should be in touch with, at least, the Lord of hosts. He should actually have a good relationship with the Lord of hosts. Don't you think? And he should never just snap out an answer, go in peace, my man. It sounds so ceremonial. And everybody who knows me and ceremony just don't mix. I will rewrite a ceremony even if I use the exact same words as last time, because it has to be new, it has to be fresh, it has to be real. So they have to be in touch with the Lord. And if they are not, I do not think it can be the fault of the Danites entirely if things go wrong. Now, this is borne out a little further down in the chapter in verse 19. It's a crazy chapter, this. Remember, there was no king in Israel. Every man did that which was right in his own eyes. In verse 19, you know, they've come into Micah's house. They're taking Micah's household idols, the ephod, and the priest, as it turns out. So yeah, they're kidnapping the guy. And the priest says, "What are you doing?" You know. And they said to him, "Be silent, put your hand over your mouth, and come with us, and be to us as a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be a priest in the house of one man, or to be a priest to a tribe and a family in Israel?" Well, there's a sales pitch if I've ever heard one. You know, verse 20, the priest's heart was glad, and he took the ephod and the household idols and the graven image and went out among the people. So, sadly, this is where Dan brings judgment on their own head. They took the idols and the false priest as their own. And I actually believe this is the reason that Dan does not appear in the final roll call of the 12 tribes of Israel in Revelation chapter 21. So what's all that mean? Well, I think there's a message for the people here, which we've already gone over, and I think there's a message for the shepherds. Shepherds, you must stay in contact, constant contact with the Lord of hosts, the great shepherd, Jesus Christ. Because if you are not, your sheep will wander. And when they wander, what evil can they wrought? What evil will be wrought? I'm Gerry Brinkman. You're on Berean Nation. Keep studying the scriptures daily to see if these things are so.